The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jared Bachman-Stubbs. It's going to be a very busy week around these parts on TNAP. You're tuned in for the Ms. Marvel review. I'm going to be recording our review for The Boys later tonight. And Thursday night, time depending, keep an eye on our socials. We're going to be doing a live stream to recap San Diego Comic-Con. A lot to talk about on that front, and I'm very excited to get into the weeds with Travis and unpack everything that happened there. But like I said, we are here for our Ms. Marvel review, and before we get any further into that, we have a word from our lovely sponsors at sundaysbloodymary.com. Sundaysbloodymary.com is the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement on the planet. There is no better Bloody Mary mix than the Spicy Caesar mix. This is the 2-time award-winning Bloody Mary mix. Like I said, it's my favorite. The dilly beans are back. They got the pickled okra. They got the pickled asparagus. They got those new labels on there. They got all kinds of merch with the hats, shot glasses, and hoodies. And, of course, they have the, as I said, award-winning mix, the mild mix, and the traditional mix. The mild mix is not quite as spicy as the spicy mix, and the traditional mix also has no animal product in it either. So you can go ahead and get that if you are on the vegan side of things. So, like I said, go to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout. Get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. I am, of course, not alone. It would not be an MCU show review if I was not joined by some lovely folks from the comic book cast. We got Mitch and we got Tristan, and we are talking about Ms. Marvel.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Or as I like to call her, Mutant Marvel.
I'm just going to leave because I'm going to get bullied. I've had enough being bullied in the last couple of weeks, so bye.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
No, it's not.
We got our Eternals crumbs at Comic-Con.
Oh, they're coming back.
I know they are. I'm just making fun of the fact that the only thing we got about Eternals is a zombified Icarus.
No, Feige spoke about Eros and Pip.
Oh, that's good. I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, it was
none of the other Eternals, just Eros.
Yeah, I think it was just in some interviews that he was doing after the Hall H stuff. He was saying that it'd be surprising that they wouldn't return. So, yeah, look out for that.
That'll be good. I was considering trying to do for San Diego what I did for Star Wars Celebration. I thought about it, but honestly, there is so little live from the floor coverage of San Diego anymore.
Yeah, it's all just live tweets.
That and it was just so disappointing. When I was a kid, during the age of G4, the fact that they were practically 24-hour a day coverage of San Diego, or any of the live streams. I really wish we had live content from San Diego again. It just makes me so sad that we don't.
Before we go on to the topic, it's really weird knowing that I live in Southern California, and so I've been to San Diego, and knowing all this stuff, it is really weird that they haven't caught on with the live streaming. I know Marvel does live stream, but it's mostly on the comic side, not really on anything else. So it is surprising that it hasn't caught on so far, because they know that people want it live stream. It's just how to do it. Because other than that, it's just people go into Hall H, sit in a crowded room, and you have, if you're part of a social media team, you got 2 or 3 people sitting there with all their equipment, trying to absorb all the information that's rushing at them and just go away at the little keyboards.
I know it's.
Do we know
it's
if
absurd.
D23 has a live stream? Or is D23 the same situation?
D3, they sometimes they do. It's just it's just whether or not they will announce it.
Yep. Which I'm super not hopeful for after what happened with the last 2 days of Star Wars Celebration this year. Like I said, I wasn't prepared to do that to myself again.
Yeah.
Where I'm just waiting there.
I can't blame you.
Okay, guys, any day now they're gonna show us something. Okay, never mind.
I did it with Joe for Comic-Con once when Joe was part of the channel still on Twitch, and it was the most boring thing I think I've ever done.
Yeah. I think from I don't know if anyone else follows discussing films, but I think they put out saying that they're probably not. So it's whatever at this point. It's just weird that they haven't caught on, because I know people would like tune in to watch that thing.
Of course they would. It's
so people would even pay money to do it.
Yeah. I absolutely would. I would and I mean, it's not like it's going to be a huge fee. It's not like they're dumb enough to put like a $20 price tag on like watching it. Yeah, but even then I'd consider it. Okay, I'll go from my house for $20.
Yeah, like if Activision Blizzard does that for BlizzCon, people will do it for D23 and even San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. But enough of that. Ms. Marvel is here. Ms. Marvel has completed. And I came on Comic Book Cast and I said this, and I was going to open up the review by saying, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. Like it's all the way up there. The others were kind of middling. Like WandaVision and Loki are so hard to compete with for me. With this was something else. Tristan, since this is your first time coming around these parts, I give the floor to you for your overall thoughts.
My overall thoughts is I love this show. It's really entertaining. It gives off like it's supposed to, because Kamala is supposed to be the Peter Parker of the current age. And I don't know why people make that a demerit against the show when that's what she was created to be. A viewpoint into how things are going currently for teenagers at this point in time, which is perfectly fine. I love the characters. I love the representation of the show, especially with the graphics that they used during, I guess, a couple of the episodes. I wish they used them a lot more, with how when they were texting, you'd see them with the thought bubbles and things like the graffiti art, or in the air where you'd see the clouds turn into text bubbles, or the like, was it the kites that were doing it as well?
Yeah, the kites from
that was really
Red Dagger.
Yeah, I wish they'd do that more. But overall, I did love this. It was kind of a head scratcher a little bit with how they explain some things, or the lack thereof, but it's an enjoyable ride to see Kamala's journey to seeing what it means to be a hero.
I agree with you completely. And I will say, the biggest issue I think the show has is that the clandestines arc kind of goes fucking nowhere.
It does go nowhere, but then again, they were a creation of the 90s and they went nowhere.
Which again, like, it's one of those, like, I think that is a completely valid take. I also think that there came a point, I think, in the making of this story where they very clearly went, this is supposed to be more about becoming a hero than fighting this specific alien threat.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I would love the clandestines to have more of urgency in the story than, oh, we're here. Oh, I'm the bad guy. Oh, okay, I'm going to redeem myself. Bye-bye. and cue the
that good old Star Wars redemption, where you don't have to face any consequences at all.
Yeah. It's just like part of me feels like it's kind of sad about them, because it feels like they were just a setup to whatever Kamala is going to be doing in the future, whether that be one of the highlights to being a mutant, or something else. It's just it's kind of weird. And I think it was confirmed that she has one of the nigga bands. And
no, it's never been said.
Oh, okay. Because that's what I was going off from when I was reading that. It was like one of the
It's heavily rumored because the show never actually says anything, but
they never say anything like actual rules about the band in the first place because they can do a lot of things. Apparently,
you can do whatever it wants. Apparently, just like okay, I can do this now. But they have said I think Nia DaCosta said it for the Marvels that she is going to be getting another power. So whatever the hell that means, whether it's going to be the polymorphing aspect, which I kind of hope it is, but we don't know right now. It could be the Nega band, it could be a quantum band, it could just be a weird thing that they just decided, a weird MacGuffin.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering. It's like they're just making this man do whatever, and they didn't explain what it was. And that's why I really wanted to, because apparently it can awaken powers and it can let you time travel. And
it can also let you switch places, which, in fairness, is a very key point of the Nega band. Because when they tried reinventing Captain Marvel, like the dude Captain Marvel in like the 80s or whenever, and they brought Rick Jones in. Marvel. They brought Rick Jones in to try and make him like a little Shazam allegory. So when they smack the bands together, they swap places, which is not exactly what happens at the end of this show, but it's a very similar imagery.
It's implied because people thought she polymorphed, but no, she just switched places.
Yeah, so it's heavily implied to be half of the Nega bands. It's not yet confirmed, but we'll find out next year, I imagine.
Let's see.
I mean, again, it's more exciting space stuff, which I'm always down for and excited by. Speaking of space stuff, Mitch, I give you the floor, sir.
For despite being honey dicked for like half of this series, because there was a lot of Inhuman stuff in this, I need to really get over myself for. I genuinely do really enjoy this show. It's got so much heart and how do I put it? It's careful with the weight that it has to carry, because this is like the first Muslim Pakistani superhero we've seen.
Yeah,
it knows exactly what it has to do and how it's got to do it. So for a show that's got all that weight on its shoulders, especially for like Iman Vellani, who doesn't have any acting experience really, and this is her first like proper gig. Like I thought she nailed it. Like that girl, this show could have been whatever it wanted. That girl was Kamala Khan. And I've said it countless times. I'm convinced she was born in the lab, specifically for this one role and nothing else in life. But yeah, the clandestines, despite what they are in the comics, they can and should do something with them. In the adaptations, it's not an excuse in this show for me personally. They literally grind this thing to a halt. They serve no purpose other than being like, hey, this is a thing. We're not going to explain anything by. And it's the same problem with Peacemaker. I said it before as well. Peacemaker should have focused on the racist dad instead of the weird Suicide Squad rehash again. And this should have focused on damage control and the racism surrounding that. And it would have been a far stronger show for it. But
I can't say that you're wrong. I think that they could have. I never got around to finishing Peacemaker. I still need to. Disclaimer.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I mean, I quite liked what I saw. I mean, I can say that much. And I got about halfway through it and just didn't have time. But I don't know. I wish they did focus more on the damage control element. I think that, in hindsight, backseat director here, I think that if they had saved the clandestines for a second season and dedicated all of that to them and centered or maybe even do it in the other direction, and maybe this whole season is the clandestines so you can focus on her understanding the origins of her powers, and then season 2 can be and now she's going up against this very, very bigoted damage control leader.
Yeah.
Either way, I feel like it should have. They could have split the difference there.
So it's too much to have two villains, and especially a group of villains and a single villain in a 6-episode series. Like I put it down purely to teething problems still for these shows. You know, they'll line it out eventually. My biggest thing with the clandestines is they feel like a holdover of Inhumans. So, here's the Kree. Oh, look, we're cocooning in crystals or whatever, and it's not working. It's all misty. Like, they don't feel tied to mutants in any way, shape, or form at the minute. It feels far more spacey and Inhuman-y and Kree than it does mutants. And I think if I had to put money in anything, I'd say that they are literally a holdover from before they made the decision to make her a mutant. But that's just me. It could be way off, but that's just how it feels.
I understand that. I mean, I can't say that I disagree with you. There go my headphones. No, I do think that you're right. It does feel very Inhuman-y, in kind of a head scratching way. But like, I think head scratching is the only way I can really describe the entirety of the Clandestines plot. And we're kind of harping on that just because, like, again, it's one of those situations where the biggest weakness the show has is like something you can really pick at for a while, but in the grand scheme of things, the things that work so well.
It's just that they don't really do much. That's the problem. Well, for me anyway, is that they don't really do much. Like
I say, they literally do nothing, and it's bad when you could point at these to be the worst ones, at least in the shows. The movies you could argue with Malekith was better or worse than these, whatever. But we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier over here, who literally had to cut an entire subplot, and the Clandestines are still worse than the Flag Smashers.
Yeah,
for me anyway. Like it's they show up, they're like, "Hey, we wanted to do this thing. No, we're not going to wait. Oh, we're dead." Like, it's half of this show is just that, and you didn't need any of.
I mean, at least with Falcon and Winter Soldier, you can know why it doesn't feel as like well paced as it should be because of what they had to do.
Yeah. So they also name some of the Flag Smashers, and we only get one name for the clandestine.
And here it's just you only really get to know the main one's kid, and that's it. Everyone else is
Kamran, Kamran and Najima. That's all. Getting two names,
Yeah, and everyone else, you can do whatever until it's time for you to go.
Yeah. No, again, that's a very valid criticism, and kind of messy there. I look forward to a season 2. Yep. Hopefully,
it's gonna have. There's no chance it doesn't have.
Oh yeah, there's no way it doesn't get one. I just mean like whenever we get it, we all saw those slates and don't know when things are going to fit in or not. But I do want to talk briefly, and we did bring it up. I don't want to talk cast. I didn't want to talk about that because obviously, a sea of white dudes here. Hello, hi. However, we're a group of people that have never shied away from the fact that representation is incredibly important, and I love this show for that. It made me very happy to just see like this very unabashedly, incredibly diverse cast with an amazing ensemble. Like that was one thing I was not expecting from this show, was for like me to love almost every character, save for the ones who were like kind of there for me not to fall in love with.
I was surprised that they had a lot of Pakistani culture within the New Jersey area. Which was actually pretty interesting, and I like that Marvel themselves are not shying away from that, and they're introducing it to a whole group of people that probably don't venture out to those areas if they live in a big city or a metro area. They don't venture into those areas as often as they would want to, and be surprised that they have this kind of mixed culture that they can enjoy and understand.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's done so. There is a very tactful execution here, you know, it's just kind of perfect. I'm kind of at a loss for words there. And again, with a lot of nuances, and so much of it is sold by this incredible cast. You know, I loved the priest and his, you know, like
he's fantastic.
He's so like not underplayed, but he is so like restrained in his performance. Where like he was kind of like the unspoken MVP of this show for me as an actor. Like I loved his conversation with Kamala at the wedding party or the pre-wedding party, where like I don't know, I got the vibe that he already figured it out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The way he gave her a certain look, and it's like, yeah, this guy knows. But I can't remember if he knows in the comics or not. So I know he's from there. I can't remember if he actually.
I can't remember either because it's like it's been so long since I read like the first couple volumes.
But I loved their interactions. Her mother, again, that was like it just felt so human, you know. And these are one of those times where like, and you know, I'll admit that I'm guilty of it. That I'm watching an MCU show and I'm like, kind of doing the content mining, right? Where it's like, okay, like what's this thing? What's this thing? What's this thing? What's this thing? And part of that is because the MCU is slightly built to do the whole like look at how all of these things are connected. Look at Jimmy Woo do a magic trick. Oh, he learned that from Ant-Man. That kind of thing. And I'm like, at first I'm like, okay, like there's gonna be all.
Your microphone's gone, Jarod.
Yeah, went out mid sentence.
Uh-oh. Now it says you're muted.
Yeah, it says you're muted now.
Hello?
That's better. There you go.
What happened there?
Yeah, it just randomly went off mid sentence.
But no, I was so disarmed by the cast and like the very organic familial chemistry that this whole ensemble had, that like I got back to that, like, just let it wash over you. Just enjoy the ride. And I super did. I loved everybody here.
Yeah, I one part that I love is that when it's kind of weird how Disney and Marvel, if they're going to touch sensitive topics, they always have that warning in the beginning of an episode.
Yeah,
I have to stress that it for me anyway, it does ring true to some instances that I have been involved in, where, especially when damage control went into the mosque, and they were saying, "Well, we need to find this superpowered teenager. Do you know where they are?" And everyone in that mosque presented their state-issued identification or passport and said, "You know, we're ready. We've been through this 100 times."
Yeah. Yeah. It was, again, super impressed with the level of tact that it had here. And again, just one of those like little moments from I Googling the cast again because I want to remember his name. But just that very subtle, like, hey, take off your shoes.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's again, it's so understated and perfect. I love it so much. Why does he not have higher billing?
Most likely with stuff like that, it's either representation or just a negotiation issue.
Oh no, I was being sarcastic. I was just being like, you know, I don't get Kamran out of here. He does not deserve that spot.
I was always wondering about that, and then when I looked into it, that's usually what it was about.
But
no, this show did such a good job with, like, you know, as someone that doesn't know much about Muslims and Muslim culture, like just the whole, you know, the women got to like wash their hands and wash their faces. You got to like wash stuff off and then take the shoes off and all this sort of stuff. It properly taught you, because when she comes back into the mosque the second time, they don't mention the shoes, but you can see them and you know instantly it's like
exactly
that bitch didn't take the shoes off. Like,
That-
how disrespectful can you be?
Yeah, that was actually pretty good how they integrated that to get you to remember that, because they actually have a scene where they're taking off their shoes, and then after that, they get their shoes stolen.
Yeah. Well, there's that. There's also like they call attention to it so many times in the early episodes where like they mention the cubby holes, they mention the like you said, they mention the shoes getting stolen. Like they mention the shoes enough times so that like they make sure that the layman, somebody who's not familiar with this culture, is not familiar with these practices, are like primed to, oh yeah, you take off your shoes when you get on that carpet, and then that becomes this like big thing. And I said this whenever I was on y'all's show to talk about Ms. Marvel. I love that, like, you know, so often in the real world, conversations about racism are difficult to have because so many people think that racism equals calling people slurs exclusively.
Yeah.
Well,
Like all of the nuances there of microaggressions, of systemic racism get overlooked for the very simple, oh, speaking of racist, hi Travis.
Hi, Travis.
That was awful. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. But there's so many nuances that normally get lost trying to tell a story like this, where like it's like, it's just easier if we make our resident bigot for this story some loud lunatic who won't stop throwing around slurs. And here, like, it's all microaggressions.
Yeah.
I mean, some more macro than micro, but still, like, it's not. They never say it out loud.
Yeah.
Which is so much more realistic with this kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, when it was time to apprehend them, like, do you really need that big of a sonic cannon? Because we've seen how much damage the small handheld ones can do.
Yeah.
You just need one of them. But it's just like how I was telling the guys, especially with like things like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where situations and scenes like how we see Sam getting pressed by the police for no apparent reason. It has a very powerful message in that it happens in the day-to-day. And I can attest to that happening. And when I go on like YouTube or Twitter, people are saying, "Oh, that doesn't happen that much," or they're just dramatizing it and making it worse than it is. Or for the better fact is that if it bothers you, it means that you're uncomfortable about it and you don't want to talk about it. You want it to go away because for whatever reason you don't want it in your media, because you're not ready to have that kind of conversation. But for people of color, the sad part about that Marvel has shown is that people of color parents have to have that chat with their kids when they're like really young, asking, why do people hate me for this reason? I'm not doing anything wrong. And it's just sad, and it's like been normalized for so many years. And I do commend them for that. And it's just, I can't believe people who say, "Oh, I love comics. I love Marvel, I love DC," but when sensitive topics like that come up, oh, it's ruining my immersion. This doesn't belong here. I'm getting out of this. It's being too preachy, and what is it? The buzzword. It's being so blank on the buzzword, but it's just really sad that it's getting too political. Well, things in a quote unquote cap oriented movie or TV show being too political when that's part of who the character is and all that. It's just sad seeing that.
Well said, Tristan. And I, again, coming off of the Fandom Menace and How We Got Here thing that we did that came out last week, again, all art is political. It is just a matter of how keen you are to suss out what it's trying to tell you.
It's just it's weird because the whole from everything being political, it's just for whatever reason. However you grow up, it's weird that sometimes people can't key on as, "Oh, I'm the bad guy in this situation," and they don't want to connect the dots on that. saying, "Oh yeah, your favorite hero would probably deck you for what you've been doing." So, and they don't want to have that conversation, and that's what I commend.
I.e., the Punisher.
Yeah, that's what I commend the Falcon and Winter Soldier and Ms. Marvel here for trying to normalize that these situations do happen, and they do happen in the MCU.
Yes. Travis joining us. Thoughts on? Oh wait,
it's not a can today.
This you moved too quickly, cold. So I couldn't tell what was getting open.
You need that extra energy.
I gotta ask overall thoughts on Ms. Marvel, and we were also talking cast and how this is one of the best ensemble performances, period, in the MCU.
Yeah, I'm a change up what I normally say, because usually I'm like this was amazing, and I thought it was good still. Don't worry. It was not my favorite MCU show so far. Had nothing to do with the cast. Thought they were amazing. Thought they were great. Some of the plot felt a little choppy to me. Like it just felt like the I don't remember what their actual yes, thank you. Clandestines. Didn't get enough screen time. Like, it wasn't the fault of the cast there or like the characters themselves. It's just that in the 6 hours they gave us, they could have had an extra 45 minutes to let them actually work a little bit.
Yeah, they should have. I know people would love the Aisha and Hassan flashback when she time travels back. But you could have not had that and given that to like Najima. Like, yes, she shows up just to kill Aisha, but that's literally it. There's no character development or work there whatsoever.
In the same episode, she goes from meeting them and them being friendly to immediately flipping and trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And we don't really get a reason why, because usually at that point we would get and here's like the semi-sympathetic reason that this villain is doing this so that you understand watching it why this is happening. And it felt very bad, bad guy is bad in that moment. It didn't feel wrong. It just felt like there was a missing piece.
No, that's very valid. I remember in the episode where they have their big chase and Najma, is that how you say the name?
Najma, yeah.
Okay. Whenever she dies and all of the rest of the clandestines die, when they open up that giant rift portal, I was like, I out loud went, "Oh, okay."
Is that it? Cool. Okay.
Oh, this whole plot, I like the main villain's dead now. Okay, cool. Moving on, I guess. And I spend the rest of the thing going, "Oh, like is like Cameron gonna like inherit the crazy? Like, is that what's happening here?
That's what
like,
I assumed was gonna happen.
Are we pushing? Like, does he have the bad guy powers now, and it's gonna make him nuts? And it's like, no, not even that. He just has a reasonably, my mom's dead and I'm angry reaction.
Yeah.
Like he just has a little bit of a codependency issue, so he's venting all that anger out. So
yeah,
I think the one of the biggest things with the clandestines is we don't even know why they were exiled from the Nor realm.
Yeah.
All they go is, we're exiled. We want to get home. It's like, okay, but why were you exiled? Like, it's just kind of important for why I should help you get back there. What's no? If you want to make it give them a bit of sympathy, tell me why they were chucked out. Make it a very unjustifiable reason why, and maybe I will care about nameless family that just dies.
Yeah. When they're going to, I assumed that they were going to do that, but no, I was okay.
Yeah. And we were talking about that for a minute, Travis, and just good to see the unanimous agreement. The clandestine, however you want to say it, subplot just kind of nonsensical.
My general arc of the show was the first 2 episodes where this was fun, and not clearly not made for me, and that's okay. I still think it's very good and very fun. And then the next 2 episodes were there's like 40 minutes of footage floating around somewhere that we're not seeing in this to fill in some gaps. And then the last episode, I really liked how it ended. I loved the ending of the show.
Yeah.
I like that Cameron didn't go batshit insane and just become a villain all of a sudden, because it wouldn't have made sense. And like you guys were just talking about when I came in, I loved how they handled the not FBI lady throughout the entire show.
I mean, it's it's a little bit realistic with how, like, even as bad as she was as a coworker, everyone else did not like her, and they're waiting for her to trip up so they could throw her under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was no loyalty to her for good reason.
I've literally had that experience in my own workplace.
Yes, he has. But yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I look forward to, and again, like I want a season 2 where, like, now that it feels like there may have been a bit of a tension on the part of the filmmaker here, in a very royal way, the filmmakers, to tell both a story of Kamala facing systemic adversity and also trying to, like, get a grasp on, like, just the cliff notes enough of her power so that the Marvels can really run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I said this, I alluded to this earlier. I really look forward to a season 2 where the playing field is kind of cleared for them to just run through a whole story and not kind of have to tell 2 different stories at the same time. Where, because it kind of felt like you had half of one and half of another, but neither of them felt completely filled out.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, because she doesn't right now. She doesn't have all of her powers. Because as we've seen in the comics, Kamala, she has an enhanced strength, stamina, and regenerative properties. So when you see that, because during like the first couple episodes, I was like, oh, we're gonna see her, instantly heal and be faster. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're not having those powers because she's not stronger than she is, and her injuries will not almost instantly heal. And that's why when we were doing our commentaries, I made the comment that when she's using those star steps, it's going to take her a while to get from place to place because she's not as fast as she is in the comics, to where she can stretch longer distances because she's going to be running and jumping. So it's going to be interesting.
This is my problem, or one of my problems with the power change, right? Like, the last episode goes, hey, big fists, big feet, big legs. We're doing the embiggen thing. Like, she says embiggen out of nowhere for whatever reason. That's fine. But she uses those steps to run everywhere. So it's replacing one thing for virtually the same thing, but one might be slightly better. Because she can move quicker because of the legs are longer. Like the whole Ant-Man, Giant Man effect, where now she's restrained to just little tiny normal people steps. And it's just weird choices like that, She even blocks bullets with the hands, but the defense shield thing comes up, and it's like, you don't need that. But
I would equate that as she's just not accustomed to doing that. It's just more of an impulse thing because she barely getting the hang of her powers. So I equated the hand shield as a conscious thing, and the overall body shield as an unconscious thing. Is that she just wants to cover her whole body from getting shot.
That's also the vibe I got, was that when she's not thinking about it is when she does the more embiggening looking stuff. And when she's trying to make constructs like a Green Lantern is when she ends up with making steps up or making a shield.
I just think my main thing comes down to they're so ill-defined. I know it's her origin. They don't have to define it straight away, but everything's so vague to what she can do. Is it actually all from the band? Has she mutated now? What's actually happened with this girl at this point? What can she do? What's her? What's the bangle? We don't actually know. and nothing else.
It's. I mean, they did play a little bit with having that in the first couple of instances with Bruno, telling her that that the power is not coming from the band; it's coming from her. The bands are just, I guess, activating her mutation, as they wanted to call it. Yeah.
So have you heard it now?
Yeah, and which in instance when Bruno was saying that her dad was seeing if she had powers too, I think that was in the comic and it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
but
it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's just an interesting way to do it because from what I've seen in the comics, Bruno and Kamala are pretty smart. Well, Bruno more so than Kamala, but you don't really see that in this that much because we see that Bruno has some skills because he made his own knockoff Alexa. So I just wanted to see more of that because in the comics, Bruno can make some really amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm looking forward to in the future. And I want to, because Mitch kind of perfectly segued us into it. Travis, you and I discussed apprehension about the power change a lot going into the show. I want to hear what you're thinking now, post actually seeing it in action.
I still don't like it. I think it looks real pretty. I think they did a good job with the effects, and I think they could have done a little more to what me and Tristan were saying about it seems like her doing the embiggen thing is what happens when she just lets her instincts take over. But overall, I would have rather her just be her actual powers
So
from
I
the
just wanted
comics.
her to be a regular polymorph because that's what she
Yeah.
that's what she is in the comics.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just would have really preferred that over what we even if somehow the bangle is still making it happen, which would have been weird. But and maybe we said before the show came out, maybe by the end she'll have her actual powers. I think maybe now knowing where we're going, this is what 3 days after Hall H, 2 days after Hall H. My guess is that maybe by the end of phase 5 or 6, we'll be at that point, right? That's what we're working towards.
Yeah, it's just the weird thing because like we were saying before the show, a lot of people don't know about Kamala's origins and creation is because she has probably about, if I did check, she has around 4 to 6 co-creators. And for people who don't know, one of the co-creators came out recently saying around 2003 to 13 to 14 when they were creating her, originally she was supposed to be a mutant. But with the Pulmutter hissy fit that he had with Fox and them changing the dates on one of the movies, so the synergy for action figures couldn't be met, he just did a line wipe telling everyone at Marvel that we're not doing Fantastic Four anymore. We're not doing mutants anymore. We are doing humans now. And when they were still creating Kamala, when they're asking, oh, well, what is she? At first they were going to say a mutant, but since mutants are off the table right now, Inhuman, and they said, okay, good, go with it. And then that's how she became an Inhuman.
And it was the best choice because if she was an X-Men, she would have faded into obscurity within 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that. Maybe
I mean,
we'll
name me
know.
one recent mutant character in the last 10 years that has stuck around and become as prominent as Miss Marvel.
Checkmate, atheists.
I was gonna say Jubilee because she hasn't faded away. She's been
but that's not the last 10 years. That's the last 30.
Jubilee's been wasn't she exclusive for the TV show first?
Yeah, but that's still in the 90s. That's 30 years ago. Your old
Tristan did
Tristan.
that thing where we forget that 10 years ago doesn't equal the 90s anymore. No, I will say with the powers, and again, I said this when I came on CBC to talk about Ms. Marvel. I prefer the old powers. I prefer the allegory with the old powers. I do, however, still appreciate the fact that the people behind the camera recognized that the powers have to have a deeper meaning. And I really appreciate that even though we traded the puberty, bucking traditional beauty, quote unquote, narrative, that we traded that for a community that for good reason, and also a little bit of that, keep your head down, don't draw attention to yourself, that most overly modest religious communities have going on, that does have the potential to kind of stifle young people. That they traded the puberty allegory for an allegory about drawing attention to yourself, and like as on the nose as it may be, like shining beyond the parameters you're put in. And how like so much of the narrative is Kamala, knock it off, Kamala, knock it off, Kamala, knock it off, please stop being you. And with these powers, there's no way to hide who she is. She is this big bright presence. So I did appreciate that, and I think they like, again, if I were in control, I would not have changed the powers, but I think this is the best they could have done with the power change narrative, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah,
but I'm still not the biggest fan.
Yeah, one good thing about all this is that they didn't change one of Kamala's core characteristics. She is a fanfic writer. She does do that in the beginning. Just this time, she's a bit of an artist, and she has her own YouTube channel. So that's actually pretty interesting that they went that route with it. But if you know Kamala and some of the one shots, they do run with it. So I was hoping we would get some like synopsis of her telling people about the stories that she's written about the characters, because some of them are completely hilarious.
I need a scene in the Marvels where she's just telling Carol just this random story she wrote one day. And it's like, what is this kid talking about? Like, of all people, why did I get swapped with this kid? Well, have I got to babysit you now? I just need that scene.
Yeah.
But I think are we ready for final thoughts on a letter grade, or
I do have
more to
one
say?
little factoid again, is that
Please.
they originally, well, at least a couple of the actors on the show, they wanted a bulldog to show up for the I think was it the grandmothers at the grandmother's house when they go, when you see, I forgot the dog's name, but
Magnum.
Yeah, Magnum, the golden retriever. They originally wanted it to be a bulldog as a reference to Lockjaw.
Even more honey dicking for me.
God, that reminds me. I do want to talk about the mutant thing before we wrap up. Because I keep forgetting that like what we did on CBC is on CBC and not on this channel. So I'm going to thank you for bringing that up, Tristan. I'm going to give the floor to Mitch.
Oh, man.
Hey, Mitch, what's your opinion? I definitely don't know quite well at this point on the implication that Ms. Marvel is a mutant.
It's almost like I spent a week and a half just crying my eyes out about it. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. I think, no, the power change, you say, you can have one allegory for another and it be just as well thought out. I don't think they did that here. For me, it feels like they changed it for the sake of changing her. Yes, she was originally supposed to be one in the comics anyway. The original idea for 90% of the comic characters aren't what they end up being. So I find that not really a good reason for anything, but it's what it is. I think they were too vague. Like, is Kamran a mutant now? Like, how? Where's his powers? Like, what's all that about? Like, why is it the exact same thing as Kamala's? it wasn't well thought out for me enough to justify why they've changed it. Like maybe they do it in the Marvels. If they do and it's well done, fine. I'll just move on and be cool with it. But it's just washed over me at this point. It's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to get my way. I'll hold the L on it. They honey dicked me for half the show with Inhuman stuff, and yeah, no, she's lost another culture for what? No, the swap's not equal. The equivalent exchange is not there, but that's me. It's what happens. She's still Kamala. She still acts exactly how she should do. No, I mean, Mulaney's fantastic. I will never stop saying that, but yeah, until they give me a reason why and explain how mutants work, like, are mutants from this Nor dimension? Like, if she is a mutant, why did she get it from the bangle and not from the X gene? Whereas it's just ill-explained at this point, and I
maintain what I've been saying since the finale, that the current MCU does not have the word for Inhuman yet.
Yeah, I really hope you're right.
That there is a mutation, and that in a very technical, cut and dry sense, he is not wrong to say that there is a mutation, but she is not a capital M mutant either. And that word doesn't exist yet. We get that little X-Men stinger because it's going to be part of her figuring out what she actually is. And I'm also okay with them kind of doing that thing where like the X-Men and the Inhumans aren't that different. That they're like that their cosmic origins are connected in some way. Like, I think there's a lot of potential there to do some cool stuff with it. I don't think she is a capital M mutant. I think that is set up for something down the line for her to realize that she isn't.
My thing with blurring the line between them is that's exactly what people hate about the comics. In the 2010s, when they brought the Inhumans back and the X-Men took a backseat, they made the Inhumans like the X-Men, and that's where they went wrong. You know, not all of the runs were bad. Like, I actually quite enjoyed a lot of the Child Soul stuff, but that's not what they are. They are
everything that man touches turns to gold.
It is very true, but like, everything the Humans are is so vastly different to the X-Men. They shouldn't even be in the same conversation, but because of the last decade, they now are, and people will confuse that, and that's not what they should be. They're as different as like Tony Stark is to Captain America. Like, they are not the same person. Might do similar things. Not the same. But then it's ironic because now you've got the mutants that are acting like Eternals, and no one seems to be worried about that. But that's a whole different conversation.
Well, I think you're right. I do think that like lumping them in together too tightly is a problem. But again, I think if you have their origins kind of be not from the same place, but kind of, you know, at kind of eye level
vague
with
cousins,
each other.
Sort of a thing.
Vague cousins. Yes. If you have them be vague cousins of each other, like very distant, but you can trace some things that are similar back, I think that's fine. And again, them not having the word for it, you know, you brought this up. There's talk that some of the Inhumans might show up in the Marvels. So like maybe, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. And I think we've learned at this point to trust Papa Kevin for the most part.
Yeah. You know, like I wouldn't expect Bruno to come out here and be like, "Oh, you're an Inhuman." Like that would make no sense. Like, it's just like, where'd you come? Why are you calling me that? Like, what's that about? But you know, it is that little riff of the '97 theme. It's like, yeah, there's no going back from that. that's the seal and the deal. Yeah, the ink is dried. Like, she's done.
And Kamala's favorite mutant is Wolverine. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
How is that not problematic in universe to have a favorite mutant?
Well, Kamala's a superhero fangirl.
You should have a favorite X-Man. I feel like, hey, here's my favorite of this race of people. That's weird.
What it is.
Kamala Khan is over, party.
Open and shut. We got her.
Yeah, open and shut. Travis, mutant thoughts.
I like the word drop only because it seems to imply that what we've been saying or speculating about the MCU in particular seems to be right, where people with whatever they're going to end up calling it, if it's not the X gene, whatever it is, that their powers are activated by the Infinity Stones or some cosmic power that in the MCU we're like, oh yeah, Wanda's a mutant and her power was activated by an Infinity Stone.
That's actually my nightmare, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what they're going to say. I don't think that's. I should clarify. I think now knowing where we're going, I think they're working towards like here's how we get these characters currently in our universe, and by the end of Phase 6, we're gonna have it all fixed.
Mhm.
You know,
because Mitch's nightmares are like doesn't want to hear or see Wanda say "Papa" to Magneto.
No, please don't. Here's the thing. If we're going to go along the lines of, oh, Kamala was supposed to be a mutant originally before she became a human, then Wanda was never Magneto's kid in the first place. So let's not do that. But everyone knows that connection more. They don't know the Wizard and Miss America line. So everyone's all right with the whole Magneto bit.
It's just because for the MCU, these are adaptations, and Kevin Feige has gone to say that certain things will get tweaked, certain things won't be how they are in the comics, and just doing this by face value, this is what they're doing. For
tweaking and they're spitting on me.
And for mutants in particular, there's multiple ways you can activate your powers, apparently, either through trauma or something, be it a device, either earthly or cosmically powered, can activate them as well. So they're going that route. It's just a new way I'm interested in. It's a little awkward, but I want to see what they can do with it if it shows up in the Marvels.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't know. I don't mind it. I also struggle with those changes to Mitch. I was going to make another Mitch is going Fandom Menace joke, but I can't. He
will. He absolutely will.
I won't.
You watch.
I maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. I struggle with the changes too sometimes. I have my own little, like I hate the fact that by the time now again, Sam Wilson is Captain America, and I love Sam Wilson as Captain America, and I love Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson as Captain America. I hate the fact that like the classic iconic version of so many of these characters are never going to get to meet in the MCU. Like, like it's one of those, and again, it's just one of those like nitpicky, greedy things where I wanted to see like Reed Richards and Tony Stark in the same room. That's most likely not going to happen.
Secret Wars.
I mean, and again, with Secret Wars, with all of that stuff coming, maybe we do. Maybe that's where Downey comes back. Maybe all these things might happen. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But like, I get it. I remember like that was my big thing with Endgame, where I was like, this is great, this is cool. At least like 2 or 3 of these guys are going down, and it's gonna suck because that means they're never gonna get to be around for when all the Fox stuff comes into play. And I get it, I understand it. I've had to accept that like 90% of my favorite Spider-Man villains are just never going to show up in the MCU.
Yeah, it's just they're just playing the hand
until this weekend. I realized that 2 of them will be apparently, but that's beside the point. But
they found a way to sneak them in with the contract, so that's a good thing. It's just that Marvel had to deal with what they or don't, because for people who don't know by now, I don't know how you don't know, they had to sell off a lot of their properties because in the early 90s they're gonna go bankrupt if they didn't. So they just had to make gold from lead, and they did.
They certainly did. But yeah. Do we have any other thoughts or things to say before we bring this on home?
I will be fine. This is the last thing I'm going to say about any of the changes in the show. I'll be totally fine with everything if that whole Nord dimension is Krakoa.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Holy shit, Mitch!
I know I said it in the spoiler cast for our channel.
Yeah, we were spitballing an idea how they could fit mutants in it by making the island an alternate dimension and it smashes together, and that's how mutants come into the 616, and we get the island of mutants.
Because like if you look at the hologram that Waleed shows Kamala in, was it the 4th episode?
Yeah,
like it's all viney, it's all big plants, it's very Krakoa or Arako-esque. So like, hey, you know, at one point in time, like, you know, there was Magneto and Charles in like the 40s and the 50s, and all these other X-Men popped up, but then some reason plot there was an island that they all went on, and that island disappeared for 70 years. So hey, here's how we keep intact everything that people want in the X-Men. Don't have to worry about Magneto's age, because guess what? Different dimension, time doesn't work the same.
Like, see, I really love I Nando V Movies. I talk about him all the time because he's one of my favorite YouTubers. Made a great video about like what to do with Magneto's age, and I just love the idea that he's just super long lived.
I mean, like, that's the easiest way of doing it, right?
You can just do some like weird, like something magnetism slows down his aging. Fuck you, right? You can just be that.
We wouldn't put it past them. It's
I mean, that is a thing in the comics, isn't it? The poles of the Earth or something, the magnetic pole stops him from aging.
Yeah,
and that's why he's been really old or been really young, and it's like somewhere in between.
Yeah, originally that's what it was before they did this weird thing where they de-aged him, and then like he stays that way until they aged him again. But something like that could work. It's just that's the thing that they had to get around, because if we're going by what our idea was, is that most of them left, but a couple of them stayed. Most likely, Logan, because he is a long-lived mutant, so you could have him in the main 616. Fighting wars, meeting Cap, and all that. So it wouldn't.
He's just been stabbing Wendigos in Canada for the last 60 odd years. That is totally fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and that's the life.
Yeah, and you can even have a flashback where Nick Fury hires Wolverine to take down the Hulk.
Yeah. And it also explains why they died at the door or the veil.
Yeah,
because Krakoa doesn't allow non-mutants in, even stop Kitty Pryde for whatever reason. Like you just have it so that they died. The door literally said no, and then they disintegrate.
Yeah,
that's my idea anyway.
I think it's a cool idea, Mitch, and I'm sorry that the show did things you didn't like. I mean that sincerely.
So am I. I still love it, despite some
of
people
course,
might think.
yeah.
I still adore this show. It's in my top 3.
I will say, for anybody who cares, before we wrap up, I got the notification that the live stream had started for the Alex Jones trial, because that begins today.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, he actually showed up.
Oh my God.
What a madman.
He's actually there. Are
we sure it's him and not a bot?
Yeah.
There's no mistaking that grimace.
He's like Dr. Doom. He's got Jones bots.
Has someone checked the back of his head for a zip? Like you just unzip him, it's a bunch of gay frogs.
You could have a soundboard full of his clips, and you wouldn't know the difference.
No, I saw the live stream start, and I clicked on it. I'm like, is he there? Is he there? Is he there? Is he there? Because yesterday they were doing jury selection, and like I am stunned by how much of this trial is being live streamed. Like they showed the jury selection yesterday, and I was watching a good bit of it. And man, some people said some wild shit, and I don't know if they were just trying to get out of jury duty or if they're just dumb. I don't know, but I was like, and it was the big thing. Like, okay, like tomorrow's the day, and the camera was put in a completely different part of the courtroom yesterday. So I was like, oh, so I'm not like, you're not going to be able to see shit of this trial. but they actually have it in a position where like you can very clearly see Alex and his whole ass face. So yeah, it's
How red is he?
He doesn't look comfortable. I can tell you that. He does not look comfortable.
Yep.
Mans is gonna squirm. Hold on, I'm gonna throw this up in the thing. Hold on, I'm gonna DM this to myself on Twitter to show it just briefly. I know it's not on topic. I don't give a fuck, but
I mean, it's Alex Jones. It's like for people who may not know, he's
anybody who's watching our stuff knows who Alex Jones is.
I was about to say.
what type of dude?
If you know Jarod, you know Alex Jones is mine.
Because I don't
like the way you said that, but you're right.
Yeah, because like especially when we've shared it amongst our Facebook group, he had a quote from a recent live stream about how he wants to declare independence from the.
And then he threw a hissy fit that people took that out of context.
Yeah. Yeah,
has he been watching Family Guy? Is that what he's been doing?
Yeah, it's just like he wanted, like at the 4th of July, he wanted to declare independence from the alien force that was apparently making people bond to AI.
Somewhere, I don't know where. Also, that TV, they're gonna be showing clips. Somewhere
I hope
in the
they do the
gallery
scream.
here. Huh?
I hope the scream, like that really elongated scream, is shown in that court.
Wait, this one?
Start it off.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, enough of that.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap
Start it
up
off with that. That'd be perfect.
I just got excited to see it. Somewhere in here, the Knowledge Fight guys are in the gallery.
Oh,
Nice.
They came all the way from Chicago to be there for the fucking trial. Oh god, this son of a bitch is finally gonna rot. Anyway, Mitch and Tristan, where can the lovely people find you guys? Sorry, I just ADHD brain like the trial starting.
I'll let Tristan go first.
Well, I'm a co-host on the Comic Book Cast. You can find me at is J Chance on Twitter. I also have my own little YouTube. Just J Chance is what it is. I just do whatever comes to my mind at that point. I have a lot of stuff on the channel, and that's where you can find me.
And you can find me on the same Comic Book Cast channel, youtube.com/Comic Book Cast 2. You can also find me on Twitter at 692tweets, where I just tweet about crap.
Oh, currently is not currently, but before, if you want to see him rage at No More Inhumans,
I was very mad that day. I was extremely mad. I was a very salty boy, and yeah, the salt's slowly going from this boil of water, so it's fine.
Oh, that's good. Go watch Comic Book Cast if you aren't already. I don't know why you're here. Also, I want to do before we keep going though. I do want to thank everybody at Comic Book Cast for signal boosting the fandom menace and how we got here. Thanks to you guys, a lot of people. There were a lot of eyes that made their way over to this channel. I know because every time we get a subscriber, I creep on them. You've been warned. I look at. What
I laugh because I can relate.
No, it's fun. It's fun because like I get to have the moment of like, oh man, you're gonna fit right in. Because I do my own little guerrilla marketing there because I'll be like, okay, let's see who else to subscribe to, and a lot of the time it's you guys, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then I'll see some like very specific like lefty YouTuber that I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna like us. Like there was like a couple like it's like a week or two ago, someone subscribed, and I was like, oh, let's see who else to subscribe to. Okay, there's Comic Book Cast, The Majority Report with Sam Cedar. Oh, honey, welcome home. Like you're gonna fit right in.
Yeah, we it's a weird thing. It's like we get a lot of interesting people, especially in comments. We don't really comment on them, but we read them sometimes if we're bored, and it gets pretty interesting.
Listen, there's a reason why I go out of my way to mention The Last Jedi every time I'm on, and it's because
get that engagement going.
Oh yeah. I gotta y'all brought me on. I gotta get the engagement going. I gotta say something wild.
Yeah. I don't know about Army. We would love to have you on again for some Star Wars stuff because me and Mitch, we're kind of casuals. Armin's the resident Star Wars dude, so he kind of clues us in on some certain things. I will to get some information so I can talk with him on it. So
don't worry, Jarod just lets you walk on for Star Wars. Doesn't need the invite. Just like, hey guys, I'm here. So, okay, cool. Okay.
We lost Jared's mic, I think.
Yeah, again,
Jarod, you're muted. It just says you're muted. Unmute yourself.
It does say he's muted. One of my favorite things, I follow Armin on TikTok, and one of
What
my
the
favorite things
shit?
is the he's back.
to all of us, so it's fine.
As you were
One of
saying,
my
this is the second time today. It just randomly went, yeah, no, you're done talking now.
Yeah, you get to stop. Armin's like monthly cycle of having fights with people in his comments about Rey. Like 1 week out of every month, he spends just making TikTok after TikTok, being like, "Guys, I've talked about this. You're dumb. You're a misogynist, and she's not a Mary Sue." And he does that for like a week, and then it dies off, and then he'll get some new figure in for Star Wars, or someone will see the Rey figure on his table, and they'll be like, "Mary Sue," and he's like, "All right, here we go again."
Yeah.
And that's how you build a TikTok, kids.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny though? All I see from Armin's TikTok anymore are fucking Rey videos.
It's in
all
batches.
I see are just the fucking like comment reply videos about Rey. That's all I see. Occasionally I'll see him be like, "Hi, look, I'm in the gym doing nerd stuff," and then other than that, like maybe one or two, and then every other one is him just going, "Guys, please fucking stop." Like,
Yeah, that's
Bless him.
yeah.
follow Armin on TikTok, everybody. It's wonderful. It's the way that like you can just see the exhaustion in his eyes too. But
he's been doing it for a bit, so it's kind of hard too.
Yeah, he's been here for a while. Travis, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
They can find me falling apart at the seams quicker than normal on Twitter at Travis Political.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh man, it's happening. This time next year, if everything goes right, we're not going to have a Walmart in this town. It's going to be amazing. They've given me a direct line now to start telling people about unions too. Because
I love this so much. I love the slow fall of the Latrobe Walmart at your hands.
they literally, so my supervisor, who is the only person not completely corporate pilled at all, had to go to corporate training, and he came back and was like, "Dude, this is my second union busting training in like 6 months," which I cackled at because he doesn't buy into that shit. You know, he also fits in here. And I'm laughing about it and telling other people about it. And of course, they immediately, because I work with a lot of people younger than me, are like, "Man, I don't get why they're so freaked out by it. What would a union even do for us at that point?" And I'm like, "Oh, well."
Travis starts doing a fucking musical number about the importance of unions. With some little fucking TikTok dance with it too. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. That's my life for the last 3 weeks.
Oh God, I cannot wait to unpack that with all of that with you. Take me from the top. But yeah, also Travis and I will be live Thursday night. Like I said, we got to figure out the exact time. We'll be live to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. Very excited, a lot to talk about. And Travis and I are doing that thing where we don't talk to each other about any of this news, so we can get the other one's opinion live on air. So if one of us has a buck wild fucking take, we will learn at the same time you do.
I was doing the night of Marvel's Hall H. I was at work because I was at work when it was happening. So I'm standing there with my coworkers, just like, "We got Secret Wars." There's a trailer for Black Panther.
I got so confused as to where that voice was coming from. I forgot I still had the sound going on the trial. I got confused. No, that's funny as hell. I was in the car with Taylor, and I just kept like yelling every time. I was like, "Oh my god!" No, at first, we were at Dave and Buster's. We were at Dave and Buster's for like 30 minutes because we had time to kill and a power card on us. And I was like, I got the notification about the slate for Phase 5, and went ape shit. And again, I'm very excited to unpack all of that.
Yeah, like I know I talk about them. Well, we talk about the group a lot. It's with Nick and the guys. They wanted me to give them the information because they couldn't find it as fast as they could. So I was live, like tweeting it and chatting it and telling them as soon as it comes in. And I can't tell you how much if you guys are like surprised and annoyed by Nick screeching and how much he's been doing. You go into that chat, he was screeching for a good 10 minutes about, we got Daredevil, we got Secret Wars, all this. So I'm like, dude, just calm down. And he's doing this so while he's trying to stream his own podcast, which is
I watched 5 seconds of the clip of his stream, and I was like, I can't. I'm sorry, Nick.
And then after he clips all his stuff and he puts it in the chat, I click on one. It's Screech 1, Screech 2, Screech.
It's like Soups, but like 6 octaves higher.
Yeah.
I will take Nick's very genuine, excited screeching over Soup's not understanding how media works, like at all.
I was just comparing the screeching.
No, I know you
I had finally escaped that son of a bitch.
We're not allowed to.
I haven't seen him on TikTok in a minute. Now that I've said that, someone's going to stitch him and it's going to pop up for me. But
I checked out on Soups entirely during his shit Obi-Wan Kenobi takes.
I never even checked in. TikTok made me know who he is.
Same. I just I got to the point where I started muting Soups because I couldn't take it anymore after he was like, episode 4 is such filler. Watch me take this fight scene completely, like take one clip of this fight scene completely out of context and make it look like she just pushed a stormtrooper. Anyway.
So I've muted him on Twitter, but I'm weak and he's one of the few people I have muted. So every time I see someone retweet something, I'm like, this has got to be Soups. I just have to look. And it's like, there he is saying some dumb shit again.
No, I do the same thing. I do the same thing with Sheev. Oh my God, Sheev recently, I started doing a thread, and we're actually going to be doing a full episode about it on Knights of the Nerd Republic before Andor starts up. We're going to try to get some topic episodes in. On KNR, we're going to be doing like a full episode about the Star Wars fighting game I've been pitching for like 3 years. Yeah. And I had another thread about it, and I was like, here are the costumes people should have, right? And because I had Sheev muted, I didn't realize he kept quote tweeting that thread.
I think I saw this.
And
I'll have to go and look now.
Well, because occasionally I know she will show up in my mentions, and like I don't know at any point if he's saying any like ludicrously hateful shit. So sometimes I check it. And he quote tweeted me with something. What the fuck did he say? He was like, yeah, you want a fighting game so you can just stand there and do nothing as Jake Skywalker and have Mary Sue Ray Palpatine beat the shit out of him, you fake fucking fan. It's fucking hilarious. Apparently he watched all of the Fandom Medicine How We Got Here the other day. Like he watched both parts back to back. And I was like, that's like a 4-hour watch. Good for you, bud. Like
that was a second part was long.
Yeah. Part
good
2
stuff, but long.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Every time I get ready to say I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm like, that's not the word I want to say.
Yeah,
I know. I loved it. Absolutely.
And on that Star Wars fighting game, I did like how they it came out with the previous one they tried to make with an actual studio that was pretty small at the time. The only thing they extra did was WrestleMania 21, and from what I saw from the video, it looked pretty good, but sadly, it never got past the pitching phase because it was the video footage of Anakin versus Darth Maul, and from what I saw, it was actually pretty good.
Well, I've been saying for years what they need to do with a Star Wars fighting game is take the same way with with what NetherRealm did with Mortal Kombat 2 Injustice, is that Lucasfilm Games needs to get into bed with Bandai Namco and Project Soul and take Soul Calibur into Star Wars. Like literally, Soul Calibur 4 is the proof of concept that fucking works. You just need to have a more refined like force ability system. And like I said, the same way that in that Mortal Kombat just copy paste every single game mechanic aside from blood and boobs into Injustice, same thing. Like you keep character creation, you keep all of it, it would be free money.
Yeah, but it would be, but they would have to put some budget in it because I think it was Soul Calibur 6 didn't do well because it was made on a budget. So
well, and again, you got to throw money at a Star Wars game, but something like that would probably
it would
back really quickly.
Yeah, you just need to put that budget behind it because of all the callbacks, and if they're putting costumes in it, you have years upon years of costumes you can put on characters.
Oh yeah, like that's literally why I was like, here, I'm just gonna do a thread about that. But yeah. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, and at our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon. Give me $1! Speaking of our patrons, first of all, thank you to our new patron at the $5 tier, Live Love Ace, and thank you to our $10 alumnus, last time for the day, Nick Johnson. We got our newest $10 patron, Keandre Lloyd. That backflip never gets old when you go to work for it.
I was like, did that dude just do a backflip?
Yes, he did. Was Keandre's preferred clip to use, and Paco, or as he's going by on our Patreon right now. One moment, it is they changed it, which so Patreon is different now, and it's hard for me to actually see people's like name and stuff, so it's kind of confusing. I think Paco changed. Okay. This is funny. And to our $10 patron, Taylor Swift.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
That's the best one so far.
This is Taylor Swift.
The 15-second clip of him screaming into his merch store never gets old.
I love it so much. It's my favorite. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please, if you have not yet checked it out and you have the stomach for it, Phantom Menace and How We Got Here, Part 1 and 2 are out. Very proud of how that turned out. Holden and I both extremely humbled by the very positive reception it's had. We were a little nervous putting it out that it would come across as, what's the word I'm looking for? Exploitative of the current situation. And I'm glad that our attempt at a good faith conversation rang true. And I hope
with the current climate now, I don't think that was exploitative because if you've been on YouTube for a while, you know how some people are with their views.
Yeah. So again, very, very proud of how it turned out. Very proud of the positive response. So go please check that out if you haven't yet. I think it's very insightful. And lots of people have been saying they've found a lot of good material in there to work with. Like we said, Thursday night we'll be live to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. KNR, we have some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Next week's Nerd Academy podcast episode is also going to be an interesting one. Let me rephrase that. We're recording it next week. I don't know if it'll be out next week, if there is any editing that needs to happen. That'll obviously slow down the process. Spencer and I are going to be sitting down to talk with Eric Schwartzel, the writer of Red Carpet. It's basically a book about the weird impact that China has had on Hollywood and the worldwide box office, and how, a lot of movies, all of those infamous, blank thing got censored from this movie to keep it in China. We're going to have a lot of interesting conversation with Eric. Disclaimer, he's actually a family friend of both myself and the Simpson family, which was something Spencer and I didn't realize until like a year ago, when we both realized our families knew him. So Eric, again, writer of Red Carpet, writer for the Wall Street Journal, will be coming by. So we're very excited for that.
Hopefully you'll talk about the weird Chinese ending to Fight Club, because that's actually pretty funny.
I believe that comes up in the book.
Yeah.
I read the book a while ago, and I'm making my way through it again in anticipation for us talking with him. But I'm pretty sure he...
Oh, and it goes again.
It does not like your mic. Like you did a clip.
But it hasn't got the mute button this time.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Mute.
What? Fuck. You next week. San Diego on Thursday. I'm going to go before y'all lose me again. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Class dismissed, motherfucker.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
Fucking bullshit.